Thank you for joining me for my first episode of Kay's Corner. I started my web show because I want to help people. I want to definitely help parents who are having problems raising their kids. So that's one of the main things that I want to talk to you about, being a 23-year educator and having seen a lot of things. If you want to keep your kids out of jail, my show is for you. If you don't want to see your daughters end up with the wrong kind of man, this show is for you. If you want to have better relationships in your home, with your man, with your family, this show is for you. I'm going to call my episodes Tuesdays 10-minute talk because we live in a fast-paced world. I don't want to waste your time. I don't know everything, but I do know something. And I'm just going to, and the reason that I profess to know anything is because my coworkers often ask me for my advice. Parents do, my students do, and friends and family do. So I just want to share it and help someone. So in reference to children, let's start there. They don't come with a manual. There's not a book written specifically for your child when he comes out to tell you what to do. It doesn't happen like that for anyone. We have parents who work hard and do the right thing, and their children still go out there into the world and do things that they aren't supposed to do. I work in a school system, and I hear adults say very often that the reason a child acts the way he or she does is because of the parent. That's not always the case. But we've got some parents out there that really have done everything that they can think of, and it feels like their children have just taken over their home. They can't win. So I just want to let you know, I am a bit controversial. If you don't believe in whooping a child's behind, my shows won't be for you. If you believe that you got to sugarcoat the truth and you got to, if you worried about people's feelings, some of the things that I say may not be for you and the ones that you're working with. However, at the end of every episode, we're going to have comments. They're going to be good and bad comments. When parents ask questions, and I want you to ask questions, and I will do the best that I can to answer them. But I want those of you who go through and you read the comments, I want you to give parents suggestions. I want you to give people suggestions in reference to just how you've worked through life issues. We share a common experience. I'm going to say it again. We share a common experience. There's nothing new. There's nothing new. There's a cliche saying that goes, it's the same game, just different players. And so often, so many of us feel like we're in this thing alone, but we are not. But the only way you're going to be able to get through and figure out how to resolve your issues and your situations is to talk to somebody. You can't keep it to yourself. I remember when I was going through situations of infidelity with my ex-husband, and I'm a professional. I'm around other professional women. We all go to dinners together, and I'm thinking everybody else's husband, they're doing the right thing. I can't really talk about what's going on. And when I finally divulged what was happening in my house, it was happening in the homes of two other friends. So you got to talk. You got to restore yourself by if that negative energy is entered you, you got to release it back into the atmosphere. And the only way you can do that is with the truth, and the truth can be hard. Back to discipline of children. At the end of this first episode, I'm going to post a link where parents can go and they can find out what child abuse is in every state. Now, you're going to need to know what is abuse in your state, because some of the things that I'm going to suggest may sound like abuse to some people, but it is not. If your child, say for instance, my child was very conscientious of how she dressed, because she was. One of her punishments was I used to make her wear the same outfit for 2-week stints. She really didn't like that. But she ended up being salutatorian. You know, we had discipline issues, but they weren't a whole lot. And now we had some, don't get me wrong. And there's some of you out there who may know my daughter, and you may know some of the things that she did that I wouldn't approve of. But all I can say is I did the best I could, and she didn't end up pregnant. She's a junior in college, and we never spent any time at the jail. So that's about the best that I could do. She got a good sound education. So that's all I want for other parents. We all want our children to get a good start, have a good foundation, but discipline is a part of that. And we've got some households out there where the children have taken over. If that's you, then my show is for you, because you may not have, your child may not have anything left in his room. He might be sleeping on the mattress, you taking the game, you taking the TV, you taking everything. But you hadn't tried having them sleep outside on the porch. I talked to my SRO that this is where my SRO is my school resource officer. He's a police officer, and he's stationed at my school. And he told me a story about these parents who had their sons sleeping on the porch, and that is legal. It's perfectly fine. That's the discussion I was having with him. What is considered child abuse in the state of Florida? And he gave me that as an example, because the child hated being outside in the heat. Now, they taking everything from him. He was so big, how you gonna spank somebody 17 years old? Now you can, and I'm not against that, don't get me wrong, but they tried everything. Sleeping on the porch, that worked for him. Wearing the same clothes, that worked for my kid. I knew another set of parents who actually had their child sleep in the garage, or gave him a sleeping bag, slept on the floor, and that worked for him. But a lot of the things that I may say may sound controversial, but I visited a jail cell. When our children end up in jail, they're sleeping on a metal slab, and they would rather be on their parents' porch. When they have to use a communal toilet in jail, they would rather be sleeping on the garage floor. You would rather them have slept on the garage floor than to be in jail. We don't want these negative things to happen, but there are going to be some instances. We live in a culture now where children are told, if you got a whelp on your body, you got to call, teachers have to call DCF. If DCF is called to your house, you can't be gun shy about disciplining your children. If a butt whooping worked for your child, then you still gonna have to give a butt whooping, and you might have to give DCF your personal number. But you got to do what works for you in your house. Some of us might end up having to call the police, not just because of violence, but because our child just won't come in and on time and just won't do as we're asking them to do. When the police comes in, they don't necessarily have to be there to arrest your child or because of violence. You could be asking them, what can I do? Can you give me some suggestions? And it might just be like my school resource officer told me, he could sleep on the porch. He can sleep in the garage. It's okay to have a tent in your backyard. It's okay if the whole family's eat steak for your child to eat noodles. There are options out there, but we have to know the options. All right? said I wouldn't keep you longer than 10 minutes. That's it for this episode of Kay's Corner. And remember, ding ding, I'm always in your corner.